Good morning. Thanks for joining me at Coffee with Kory. The day has finally arrived, you guys. 5001 South Sweetbriar Drive in Sioux Falls is officially fully remodeled and staged. The professional photos are getting taken this weekend, and I'm not going to go into the deep end of the pool with all the details, because if we're doing our job right from a marketing perspective, you're going to be seeing this blasted all over social media this week. But I had to leave with that because we could not be more excited. So many of our companies are going to be showcased at that property that it's really a crown jewel, and we're thrilled. So I had to lead with that. I wanted to let you guys know that I took one of the best phone calls that I've taken in a long time this week. Tuesday morning, I get a phone call from my buddy Clark. He says, "Hey man, we're loaded up in the vehicle and we're heading back to Sioux Falls." Their 3+ months in Rochester came to a close. Everything is looking great, and Clark is back in Sioux Falls with his family. And I'm a little disappointed in myself that I did. Number one, I did not make it to Rochester to see him while he was there. And number two, I haven't been there the remainder of this week to see him. Been fighting a little bit of a cold, and although Clark is home and everything's looking good, obviously he's still got to be cautious and wearing a mask and not being around people that have been sick recently. And so I'm gonna keep my distance, buddy, but we're gonna be having our own coffee together soon, not just me with my Clark cup here at Coffee with Kory. So I'm looking forward to that. The topic I want to touch on today is something that probably it almost had to have crossed Clark's mind over these last 3+ months, and it's the topic of shortcuts. You know, when you're faced with a challenge, I think it's probably human nature to have that thought pop into your mind of, this is the goal I want to achieve. And gosh, this is what it looks like it's going to take to get there. And in some instances, I don't even know what it's going to take to get there. But man, I wish there was a shortcut to just get to that goal without having to do all this stuff. And I had an instance this week where I sent out to my Snapchat buddies. I was on the treadmill and running my 3.2, and got a little over 2 miles. And wow, you know, again, the long thing this week was a little bit of a challenge, and I made it. And so I sent out to everybody that there are no shortcuts. And ironically enough, so then Jossie and I and Cassidy were talking about it that night at supper. They were asking me about what was this whole no shortcuts thing on your Snapchat this morning. So we chatted about it briefly. The very next morning, I decided to try a different treadmill. So I go to this newer fangled treadmill, and it's got all these options on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just pressed manual. Let's just give me the manual. Let me set my speed, and I'll run my 3.2 and I'll get out of here. Well, I'm 2.5+ miles in, and you know, once again going, wow, a shortcut would probably be nice. I get to about 2.8-ish, and the machine changes to cool down mode and gives me a finite amount of time left to finish my run. There was probably a way to override it. I couldn't figure it out. I figured it was better to just start kicking up the speed on the treadmill and figuring out a way to still achieve 3.2 by the time the clock hit 0. And then it turned into a whole math equation for the remainder of that time that I'm running. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get there. But as it turned out, there was a shortcut to get from where I was to the 3.2, and that was increasing the speed to a speed that I hadn't run in months. But when the clock struck 0, it had just turned over to 3.2. So I got there, but I think that's a pretty good case in point of be careful what you wish for on shortcuts, because sometimes the shortcuts that life serves you up are not exactly what you're looking for, and they may even end you up in a different location, because not all shortcuts are what they're made out to be. So I thought that was a pretty good lesson, and I'm going to leave you with a movie clip that is probably one of the best best examples and dialogues. And I never really thought about it as, a preach on why you don't take a shortcut, but I really believe that that's kind of what it's all about. And it's from A Few Good Men. Those of you guys who know me best know that's probably my favorite movie of all time. And this is not a dialogue that really probably gets quoted very much, but it's the one where Tom Cruise is telling Lance Corporal Harold Dawson and PFC Loudon Downey about the deal that he's negotiated for them, about how they're going to be able to go home in 6 months when they're on trial for murder, and it looks like the odds are stacked against them. And the point of it all is that Harold Dawson says, we're not taking the deal just so that we can go home in 6 months, because we feel like what we did was right. And if we do that, we go home in 6 months, we're gonna get dishonorably discharged from the military. And that's the whole reason that we're here in the first place, is because the code that we chose to live by being in the Marines, is much more important than taking a shortcut home and then not being able to say that we're Marines any longer. And I always liked that passage, or that dialogue, but it took on a little bit of new meaning for me this week when I really started thinking about it in terms of shortcuts. So I wanted to share that one with you guys. If you've never seen it, never saw the movie, number one, watch the movie. And even if you don't, or even if you have, maybe do a little Google search on that, because it's very interesting, and it gave me something to think about this week, that the code that we live by and the truths and the values that we live by are much more important than trying to take that quick, easy path on a shortcut and get into a destination a little bit quicker. So that's what I'm going to leave you with, guys. I really appreciate you joining me each and every week. We'll see you next week on Coffee with Kory.